Ladies and gentlemen, so here we are. We're a little bit on, and we've done some things.
We've done a lot of things.
We've had some better than average successes, and we've had a couple of runs that just we actually dumped them down the drain.
Tell them why, Ronald.
Well, what we found out was...
What don't they tell you on the YouTube?
The copper coil in the condenser...
Fuck a copper coil.
...build up residue. And you can clean it, but you have to clean it specifically. What we ended up doing was citric acid, hydrogen peroxide, and water. You can look it up on the internet for the ratios. And
that was our third try, actually.
It will dissolve the schmutz that builds up inside the condenser and flush it all out. But when you're done with that, what you should do is a 50-50 white vinegar solution and run it with water around the coils of the condenser to flush it. And then after you do that, you do a straight water boil to flush the vinegar and everything else without water around the coils.
And it just steams.
So that you get steam and it blows everything out and you get the coils as clean as possible. We wound up with a couple of runs.
Well, three, honey. Three.
Three runs.
Three that went down the damn drain.
Went down the drain because...
They were piss yellow.
They were yellow. They tasted nasty. They were probably...
the most beautiful runs we ever had.
As anything else that we had ever run. But because the inside of the coil was not as clean as it could be, they came out nasty.
But we did clean it. That's what's sad. We did clean it.
Yeah. We cleaned it and we rinsed it, and
it came out crap.
Something about the accumulation inside the condenser coil. It's a copper condenser coil.
Fuck copper.
But just every few runs, remember, soak, clean, rinse everything in your copper.
Tell them what that is, baby.
All right, so this one...
sake.
...is our second fermentation of sake.
We got 3 of those.
We got nothing in the first batch but hoppy, bubbly, carbonated water. This time, we actually got sake.
Yaha.
And when you translate sake, it actually translates out to liquor?
Liquor.
Okay, so...
does not taste like liquor.
Does not taste like liquor. This is
super
rice
yummy
wine. This is not distilled. This is a straight fermentation. So we fermented it for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, but tell them what happened, baby.
When we took the mash from the wash and strained it, we got a shit ton of schmutz.
We were told to cold crush it.
And when we took all our wash and our schmutz and put in the fridge to cold crash it to stop the fermentation, we ended up with a 50-50.
It did not work out.
It was a 50-50 kind of wash and schmutz. The schmutz took up half the bucket. The wash was on top. So we siphoned this.
Nice.
We got 3 16-ounce bottles.
Yes.
And we even tried to refilter the schmutz.
Well, it did not work.
It did not work. We tried cheesecloth. We tried a strainer. There was just
we
nothing.
even tried the coffee filter. It was bad.
You're not going to be able to filter the wash from the rice schmutz
Note to self, do not wring out your bag.
Don't wring out the bag after you ferment your rice.
Even though they tell you to. Liars.
Just let it run through a filter, sit in the bucket, and then cold crash it. Let it settle. And this is what you'll get.
Yep.
This is a straight fermentation. There is no distillation involved. This is about as clear
It's so
as
pretty,
anything
baby.
you're going to get. And you'll notice
Hey.
there's no carbonation in here. This is straight rice wine.
You should tell them that we did our meat today too, baby.
We'll get to that. So, pouring it off. No bubbles. Clear. Very neutral on the nose. And the way we did it, as you taste it, very clean, very refreshing. It's a little bit hoppy because we did use a hop tea to keep things from getting funky.
Yes, we did.
But
And Ron's talking shit right now because I like the sake and Ron is more a whiskey guy. He likes the others that we have distilled.
we've done some projects, but I do not object to this.
No.
This is something you can sip on, and here in South Texas, a clean, cold bottle of this with this little bit of hops in here on a hot afternoon, not going to be anything better. You will clear your palate, you will be refreshed, and
It is super good.
in my estimation, this will beat the shit out of a glass of Southern iced tea.
Right, because it was like a 110.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was a 110.
This worked out to about a 110.
And it is smooth.
It doesn't have a burn.
No burn. No burn.
It is smooth as smooth can be and very enjoyable. Now, the second part of today,
Tell them.
we had 2 bottles of mead.
They saw those.
2 gallons of mead. We siphoned those off and racked them into 2 separate 1-gallon jugs, and both very pleasant.
Tell them, honey.
One was a little drier.
One was dry. It was so gross.
It was.
It was gross to me.
It was gross for my wife because we used the champagne yeast in one. We used the Fleischmann's in another. So
yes,
we
did.
2-gallon experiments. 1 Fleischmann's, 1 champagne. The Fleischmann's, and we're talking Fleischmann's, freaking bread yeast, okay? Sweet,
So
very
good.
natural, very refreshing. All the flavors came through. The other, we did the Red Star champagne yeast. It was a little more dry because it had a higher alcohol tolerance, but it was also, to my taste, very refreshing, if a little bit dry because of the higher alcohol tolerance.
Ron likes red wine. It was so gross.
I think as we go on and let the meads rest, the flavors will mellow out in the champagne side and not be quite so dry. We're going to find out. It's going to be a couple of weeks, but we're going to give it a shot. And who knows? The wife might actually give it her seal of approval. She might like it. We'll find out. That's going to take a couple of weeks. So, here we are. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing. We're going to keep on having fun. And we'll be back.